All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Officer Paul Cruz, Wichita Police Department. Today, it's going to be me and Charlie. Charlie, good morning.
Good morning. Appreciate, am I muted? Nope. Appreciate everyone being here on this cold Tuesday morning. Lieutenant's gone, so you got the B and C team. I guess everybody on viewing can decide who's B and who's C, right, Paul?
Something like that. But I tell you what, we try to keep this really informal and really find ways to communicate with our community in reference to what's going on crime-wise. So today, like always, every week, we tune in at 11 a.m. to try to provide you information. Charlie's going to be helping me with the comments and also chiming in on, like we always do with Lieutenant Bruno. So today, we're going to get right into the presentation. And let's talk about what's going on this week.
Yeah, the lieutenant's in training, by the way. That's why he's gone, everybody, just to let you know. So he will be back next week, but he had training class today. So go ahead with the PowerPoint, Paul, unless you want me to open up with a joke.
No jokes, Charlie. Let's not.
All right, let's let the viewers decide if you want a joke before we're over. Comment, let us know, and I got one for you.
I work with Charlie. No jokes. They're all dad jokes. All right, so getting to the presentation, we're going to look at what's going on this week. So we do a week-to-week comparison this week. As you can see on the left-hand side here, we're down 23%, 118 larceny from auto cases in reference to last week, which was 153. Good news. And then we also have the month-to-month comparison of right here in the middle, in the red, is 536. So we're down just slightly compared to last month, which was 549. As far as totals for in regards to the comparison year to date, from this year to last year, we're up 14%, 885 cases compared to 665 cases from last year. Going into where this is taking place, Woodlawn and 96, we see the red area, which we identify as a hotspot or area of focus. We also have over by K96 and Rock Road. And again, these are larceny from autos in the last 28 days.
And it's good to explain.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Just saying, it's good to explain when we're talking about larceny from autos, that's actually thefts out of vehicles, not thefts of tags, things like that. So these are items that either were left in plain view or were in a vehicle and were stolen out of that vehicle. So just important to remind everybody of that as well.
Absolutely. You bring up a good point, Charlie, going back to the statistics here. You know, it's I know we get into our day-to-day lives and we leave the wallets, we leave expensive items, iPads, bags, purses, cell phones, and obviously handguns. We still see a problem with that. So we want to remind our citizens, this is why we do this program, is to make sure or to ensure and remind you to please not leave those items in your vehicle and help us prevent this type of crime. Going on to the next area of focus is between First and Douglas, between Washington and St. Francis, another area of focus. So this is in regards to the last 28 days. And when we're going to get right into the auto thefts. Auto thefts, there is, for the week-to-week comparison, there was 17% reduction, 60 cases this week and compared to 72 last week. We also have, we're just down slightly from the month-to-month comparison of 247 compared to 253 from last month. And then year-to-date, we have 402. We're up 55% compared to last year. Where year-to-date, we were only at 255. Charlie, anything to add?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions here. Chad Wishman, appreciate you tuning in, Chad. Appreciating you being involved in our Crimecast, just like a weathercast, but we talk about criminal activity or crime trends that we're seeing through the city. Are they breaking into the vehicles, or are the vehicles normally left unlocked? I have another comment from Vincent saying that a lot of neighbors are saying that cars that are unlocked are being targeted and locked cars are being bypassed. Now, I can say I don't have the statistics in front of me, but it's really kind of a 50-50. A lot of times vehicles will be left unlocked, and somebody may go in and look to see if there's something of value in there to them. Or if something's left out in plain view, a lot of times that can be targeted for breaking a window. It takes a matter of seconds. I've seen surveillance video where somebody has come into a parking lot of a business. We're able to break into that vehicle, take the bag or whatever it is, and leave within a matter of seconds. And the thing to remember is it may be a bag that has a pair of gym socks and gym shoes in it that necessarily you're not thinking is really that big a deal. But to somebody who doesn't know what's in that bag may think it's a computer bag or something. So they may break into your window. So it's kind of a toss-up. That's why we're always encouraging you to lock your vehicles and keep items out of plain view. Those two main items. Looks like Vincent here also commented. They were saying in the south part of the city, looked like some cars were getting hit that were unlocked, passing up the cars that were locked. So I think really toss up.
That's right, Charlie. And this is why we always recommend just don't leave anything that may be of value or look like a valued item. Just as all, we're in this together. We're trying to bring awareness to all the areas that are taking place or that are being affected. And also we ask that you help us with this and also make sure that you always lock your vehicles, take your items. We say this always during the holidays. Because we notice that people go buy expensive items and go shopping. But I think this rings true. And this continues to be the trend even throughout the year. And this is why we want to highlight this today. So we have a question from Michelle. Are we allowed to defend our vehicle if we catch someone trying to break in? In regards to that, I'd rather you call 911 rather than to confront the suspect at that time. At the end of the day, it is property. Your life is more valuable than any property that can be taken. Property item, electric item, all of that can be replaced, but not your life. So call 911, be a good witness, get the description, what they're wearing, height, weight, hair color, tattoos, scars, any of that information is important, and then call 911, call it right away. That way we can respond and address what the issue or address that issue immediately. Charlie?
Yeah, sure. You obviously have a right to protect yourself. It's really hard. Who asked that question? Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, yes, that's really a hard question to answer because every situation has its own set of circumstances. So I would definitely encourage somebody to call 911 if they see somebody breaking into not only your vehicle, but a neighbor's vehicle or something suspicious that you think they might be breaking into vehicles or trying door handles. Definitely call 911. You do have a right to protect yourself. I can say that. But you're held responsible for any actions you take. And every situation has a different set of circumstances. So it's a hard question just to give a cut and dry answer because there really isn't one. It really depends on what we say, what we're trying about the totality of the circumstances, what all is going on during that incident at that time.
Good thoughts. All right, let's go back to the presentation. And I know we'll get to some, we got a lot of comments and questions. I'll get to those here in a second. I want to move along. So I was giving you the auto theft statistics. Just to recap, we have 60 this week. We're down 70% in comparison to 72 last week. We're slightly down on the month-to-month, 247 to 253. And then year-to-date, we're up quite a bit, 402 compared to 255 last year. We've been putting out these videos. Our public information unit has put these videos together. Part of the whole reason of that, the way we've done these videos, is just to remind you and to also make it memorable, to make sure that I know it's cold. I'm cold. Charlie and I are cold in here in the office. It's about 65 degrees. But at the end of the day, it's a real big headache to get your auto theft or your vehicle stolen. So we always constantly remind our citizens and everybody watching today, please, don't leave your vehicle unattended while it's warming. If you want to invest in a remote starter, you can do that. I apologize, my radio's still on. So those are the recommendations. Those are the reason why we keep emphasizing on these types of technology, and also we keep emphasizing to please not leave your vehicle unattended while it's running, especially when you're warming it. Now, as far as where this place is or where we're seeing an increase in auto thefts in the last 28 days, you're looking at hotspot area on Ridge Road and Maple, and also here by what would be Eisenhower Airport and West Kellogg, which is a lot of your shopping centers, all those. There's a lot of places to shop and eat in that area, so that's a point of interest. Looking at the other areas that we've seen as far as hotspots, we're also looking at Pawnee, and I believe this is near McLean Boulevard, as well as Pawnee and Broadway area. So these other areas of focus for us in reference to the auto thefts and where they're taking place in the last 28 days. As far as where we've recovered the auto thefts, this is a lot of areas of focus this last 28 days or this past month. So I just want to highlight them really quick over here on West McCormick, just west of Seneca. So we have Seneca and Harry. Then we move over here to McLean and Lincoln Street, as well as McLean and Kellogg. And then there's another area near Broadway and Kellogg. And then south of Broadway, we have an area near Harry and Broadway. And then over here by Hydraulic and Harry is another area of focus. Anything to add, Charlie?
No, it looks like you just kind of covered that. We got a few questions. We can.
Yeah, let's go to the question.
We'll jump back to those. Looks like, let me back up here a little bit. Christina, good question. Any particular time of day we should be most vigilant? Again, Christina, that's why we're always encouraging the community to lock up your cars and keep valuables out of sight, because there really isn't a time of day. Now, I can say, somebody may target a business parking lot when that business is in business hours, such as a church. They might target a church on Sunday mornings when cars are in the parking lot. So we might see neighborhoods during the night because a lot of people are at home, things like that. So always be vigilant, especially in your neighborhoods. When I was in community policing, I would drive my neighborhood quite a bit that I patrolled, but I didn't always know what was suspicious and what wasn't, because I didn't live there. Community members know who lives there, what seems out of ordinary, who's on vacation, who's at work, things like that. That's why we encourage you to call 911 if you see any of that suspicious activity. Catalytic converters. Yeah, we're still seeing that. We don't have an update on the numbers today. I know Lieutenant Bruno said we'd be doing that once a month. I think the first Tuesday of the month. So
Charlie's still thinking about the weekend.
I'm thinking about the weekend, thinking about church, all that stuff. So I don't have an update, but I know we've seen an increase in catalytic converters. We've talked about that for several weeks. Looks like you got a shout out from AJW.
Well said, Officer Cruz. That's what it says. Thank you, AJ.
Well said.
Well said.
Bueno, AJ.
Bien dicho.
There we go. Looks like Susanna, hers broken car between 2 and 5. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Chad saying something about here we go. Ramp up neighborhood watch program. I mean, the neighborhood watch program is really incumbent upon the neighborhood. That's why it's called a neighborhood watch. If you are interested in starting a neighborhood watch, contact your community policing officer. Go to wichitapolice.com, click on field services, go to community policing, and you can find out who your community policing officer is to contact them. They can also help you know if there is a neighborhood watch in your neighborhood block and who that neighborhood captain is, so you can get in touch with them if you're not sure at this time.
That's right. And one of those things, I'll add to that, Charlie. I always tell citizens and community members, get to know your community policing officer before an incident happens or before there's an issue in your community. That way you have those line of communications and they can guide you step by step on how to create a neighborhood watch. They're always beneficial, especially when you get every community member or every neighbor within your block engaged and also participating. So we look forward to being able to help you, and as well as our CP officers, being able to help you create one and get one started.
Very good. Looks like Stephanie's from Arkansas. Welcome We've had people even from Washington State on here, Paul.
Yeah, we've had viewers from all over the United States. I'm glad that you're tuning in to see this program. Again, this is to educate our community on what's going on in Wichita and how we can work together.
She's talking about Neighborhood Watch and a Facebook page that maybe they could start one. And that's great, Stephanie. I'm glad that you guys have done that. And again, this is a Neighborhood Watch program can be as much as the neighborhood wants. You can start Facebook pages. You can have phone trees, all kinds of different things with technology that we have today. But if you're interested in starting something, you can contact, again, your community policing officer who can help you get all that in order to begin that. But you need a neighborhood captain. I know that. And at least 50% of the neighborhood that's willing to jump in and participate at the time. All right. Did you have more slideshow, Paul?
We do.
Let me go ahead and finish that thing up.
Do that. I will get back to the presentation. So here, let me pull it up. So we're switching over now to residential burglaries. In comparison this week compared to last, we're down 29%, down 24 that were reported this week compared to last week, which were 34. In the middle area, we month-to-month comparison, we have 112 to 114, just a slight number down in comparison to month-to-month. And then we're just slightly down 1%, just by one case, 175 compared to 176, which is our year comparison. And as far as the areas that we are seeing these burglaries taking place in the last 28 days, we want to highlight the area of Lincoln and Edgemoor towards the northwest. There's a hotspot that what you see there in red. So for those residents, we ask you to just be aware, be mindful of your surroundings, who's out there. Any suspicious persons, report it to the officers, 911. And this is the conclusion of our presentation for today, Charlie.
So let's finish up our questions.
Yeah, what do we got?
We got Faith asking about, we talked about the scrap dealers accountable. I know our investigators are working with elected officials and things like that on how to address the increase in catalytic converter thefts and maybe the selling of stolen catalytic converters. But you must remember that there is legitimate selling and buying of catalytic converters too. But our investigators are definitely working on, they see this increase, and it's not just something seen in Wichita. This is something that's being seen across the state, across the country on the rise of catalytic converter theft. So it's something that our investigators are definitely working on. Why don't you take this one, Paul?
Absolutely. Let's see. Why don't we coordinate a neighborhood watch program so that we can meet the officers in our neighborhood and coordinate tactics to fight crime in our streets? Chad, I think any strategy is going to be considered in regards to reducing crime in our neighborhood, and that would be a good suggestion. Now, the way to do it, so Charlie, if you can post the link to where folks can find and reach out and figure out who their community service officer or their community policing officer is. The other thing is that we also have the WPD app you can download. You can find that information there as well. But we'll post the link in the comments so that you can access that and then figure out who the community policing officer of your area is. If not, you can also contact the patrol bureau that you live in. So if you live in the area of Patrol West, Patrol East, Patrol North, or Patrol South, you can Google that phone number and then also get that number. But we'll make sure to put this information here on the comments, on our Facebook comments.
All right, Missy. Sorry, Missy. Sometimes I talk fast. I posted a link at the bottom, which will take you to a page of all the community policing officers in the city. If you don't know what beat you live in, you type your address in there. It pulls you right up to what beat you live in. Then you can scroll down, and let's say you lived on 25 beat. You're like, oh, Officer Jared Metcalf is my community policing officer. Click on email. So basically, if you're interested in starting a neighborhood watch in your neighborhood, contact your community policing officer and let him or her know that. And they can start working you through that process or let you know if there is one, things of that nature. They can come out and talk to you. They can all kinds of different things. So make sure that if you're interested in doing that, you contact or look at that website. Again, wichitapolice.com. Sorry, Missy, I'll go a little slower. Click on Field Services to Community Policing, and I put a link in the comments as well.
Charlie, we also have a comment. I'm looking at Vincent Rose's comment. You bring up a good point, Vincent. There is the Nextdoor app that we normally communicate with our community. We also find ways to communicate with our citizens via Nextdoor. Obviously, this is an app where we can't reach out to you. You have to reach out to us. But the Wichita Police Department does have a Nextdoor app.
All right. Mackenzie, thanks for tuning in. This is her first episode tuning in. This is I think the 11th one we've done. Mackenzie, appreciate you being here today. You're missing the lieutenant. He's usually on with us, but he's in training today. But she likes the program, probably because I'm going to tell a joke at the end, Paul.
Probably. Maybe
stay tuned. Stay tuned for the joke.
It's going to turn into a cliffhanger, but that's okay. So, Mackenzie, thank you. Welcome. Again, we are trying our best to communicate and be transparent with our community on what's going on in our communities and what areas being affected and how we can work together.
How about Heidi? Why is there more police can do about stolen vehicles? Seems they look that day and do nothing after.
I think this brings up a good point. There's patrol officers, which are 911 driven. There's community policing officers, which are not 911 driven, and they work with our community members. And then there's also the CRT officers, which also work in conjunction with our community policing officers. So I think a lot of times we got to keep in mind with patrol officers, they're responding to 911 calls. That's their number one priority. And this is why today during the show, we've been saying contact your community policing officer to identify crime trends, to identify issues that are going on in your neighborhood, and how we can work collaboratively. They're not responding to 911, and they're there specifically for these kinds of issues. So a lot of times that gets missed with these, and there's this expectation that, hey, I want the 911 officer to be here. I get that he's going to be there for the day and the patrol area and the time that he's working, but really we want you and encourage our community to work with your community policing officers, and that you can identify these trends, identify these problems, and look at working with them to find long-term solutions to what's going on in your neighborhood.
Yeah, and tags are entered into our system, so if an officer does come across that stolen vehicle, we are able to recover and locate that. You did see the slide on several recovered stolen automobiles. We have auto theft section detectives that investigate these crimes, so we do want to try to recover that vehicle and get that property back to you as well. Julie,
Charlie, one more point on that.
Yeah,
we have the Fox system. If you want to talk about that and how important, how effective that's been,
right?
And we're using technology to really combat crime, and it's been very successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we continue to use technology to help reduce crime and identify those responsible for crime in our community, and that's just one of them to help us as well. Julie asking about, are we seeing a reduction in home burglaries because of Ring doorbells? Possibly. I think there would have to really be a lot of research to really pinpoint a reason. It could be the fact that, COVID and a lot of people are working from home, things of that nature. I mean, there's a lot of different factors. I know our investigators work very hard each and every day to identify those people responsible. And so I think that is part of it as well. Really, you would have to have an in-depth research study to say, what really is the pinpointing cause. But I think that and a lot of other reasons could be reasons for the decrease in residential burglaries as well.
Absolutely. So, and again, just to reiterate, the flock system, they are able to report us any stolen vehicles, any really important information. In a recent news release, we talked about how we recovered almost $1 million in stolen vehicles. So it's been a very successful program that we continue to use technology in one of the many ways that we're trying to combat crime.
Chad saying he didn't hear anything. Chad, we're just highlighting crime trends that we're seeing and current areas of that crime trend. Obviously, there's incidents that occur throughout the city, but we're just trying to highlight a few areas and provide that information weekly to individuals tuning in with us. A welfare check. Leslie, right? Is that how you say that, Paul? You think Leslie? Appreciate the question. Call 911. If you need a welfare check done on somebody, call 911. Officers are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're on our 150th anniversary, Paul, today. Or, well, not today, this year. We've been on duty ever since. 150 years, isn't that something? Hasn't been a minute that we haven't been on duty, right?
That's true. And so again, yeah, I agree with Charlie on a welfare check. Just call 911 immediately and let the patrol officers check on the welfare in regards to that person. That brings up a good point with these cold temperatures. Let's check on our neighbors and let's check on our pets. Don't forget your pets. Make sure that they have the proper area, or bring them into your home with these frigid temperatures, just to make sure they're okay.
AJW, appreciate that. And yes, I didn't forget about you. I followed up. We're still utilizing the blue lights at Kellogg and Rock Road, and they also used them at another intersection on the south side. Let me grab this. I got to grab this phone call real quick, but there was nothing that we needed to provide an update at this time.
So, and going back to,
Yes, sir. Yes.
So in regards to the, let's see,
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Mark, the police also work with the Ring community. We do get notifications, and we have a partnership with Ring to answer your question, Mark. And we also get notified of incidents that happen in regards to that you want to let us know, obviously. So if a person has a crime and it's captured on their camera, the citizen that owns the Ring camera is the one that can have the option, if they want to forward that information on to police. And I think we're almost caught up, Charlie. We got a couple more questions and comments.
Yeah, I think that's all I see. I think that's it. I think that's what we got, Paul.
All right.
Time for the joke.
Oh, here we go.
All right. What? You know, it's going to be funny when I'm laughing before I say it. Why was the fly? Why was the fly nervous in the fruit market? Because it was on a date. Come on.
All right, Charlie. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We try to make it as informal as possible and also communicate. And again, this is live. Please don't forget to share. If you're watching us on Facebook, don't forget to tweet out if you're watching us on Twitter. And also don't forget to subscribe and like if you're watching us on YouTube. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.